Uh. Yes. Feel the groove, baby. What's going on, boys and girls? You man, back at it. And start off the podcast here, I had Earth, Wind, and Fire. And that song is called Boogie Wonderland. It's a fantastic song from 1970s. A real hit by Earth, Wind, and Fire. It gets me in a groove. I don't know about you guys, but gets the blood pumping, gets the muscles moving. Really gets me going. And, listen to it on your free time. If you have some time. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, this podcast, I'm going to go a little more in depth about my trip in Spain. And as many of you have seen on social media, I've kind of built it up as this incredible trip, and I wouldn't have done so unless I truly believe so. And for me, the way I call it, some Jews would understand this reference, and maybe some friends of Jews. Hopefully there's some of those as well. It was like the Spanish birthright. Where basically I got a true taste of the culture, the food, the nightlife, the entertainment there, the festivals. I was there during a festival, which I'll get into very quickly, and a true idea of what the Spanish experience is all about. And in this podcast, I'm kind of break down a few of the major cities that I went to, and give some tips along the way, since I think I had a very well-rounded experience there as to what to do, what not to do, what's hot and what's not, baby. What's not is not going to go there. And I'll get like Stefan from SNL, if anyone knows that character maybe. But either way, everything I'll share is real, unlike Stefan from the SNL, who gives us bullshit stories like, you have to go to the hottest club. The hottest club ever is two midgets jumping around on trampolines. And it's like, no one knows where he gets those ideas. But hey, it's Bill Hader. This guy, he flies with his creativity, and SNL embraces that, and so do the fans. But let me jump right to it. So I started my trip in Barcelona, and Barcelona is an incredible city. It's fitting for anyone looking for a vibrant city, a great getaway with a beach, and with a nice nightlife. Fascinating history on how it plays into the whole picture of the Spanish history, and you really get a true taste of kind of the international experience in Spain. There is times where you're there and you feel like you're not even in Spain. There's a lot of Chinese tourists who are taking pictures of me, as you guys probably saw in the YouTube video, and there's French, there's German, there's really people from all over the world, honestly, and you'll learn a little bit more about it if you do end up going there, since this hasn't been always the thing. In the 1990s, in 1992 specifically, what I learned during a bus tour was there was a Summer Olympics there, and ever since, it really, changed the city. They rebuilt the infrastructure of the city, and it blew it up into this huge tourist destination for people coming to Europe, and it turned into this incredible city that brought a lot of attention to Barcelona. And without giving too much away, because I think that it's best for people to experience things on their own, but I'll give kind of some tips of what I did. I'll give some stories and tips along the way of kind of what I would recommend doing, and hopefully that you guys can take this with you if you end up going there, or just want to hear some cool little tidbits. So when I got to Barcelona, I stayed in a neighborhood that was right in the heart of the city, and I highly recommend staying in this specific area, Plaza de Catalunya. I stayed in the area of Plaza de Catalunya and Plaza Universidad, which is like university in Spanish, I believe. And this is a great place to stay because it's right in between the historic old part of the city and right by the beach, only a mile and a half, 2 miles from the beach, and you're in the heart of where all the great restaurants and bars are not too far, and the cathedral, what they have, like, let's say they have festivals or activities in the city. That's where a lot of people in the city congregate, and it's not far from a lot of what you would do within walking distance. And around there, you would have walking tours, which is what I did, and a tapas tour. And let me just take a little pit stop here and tell you about the tapas tour. So, tapas tour is a huge part of the Spanish culture. It's a really great way, rather, to get a good glimpse of what the Spanish culture is all about. And tapas, if people don't know, I only learned about it because I heard some like girls like, yeah, like we're doing tapas tonight, you know, like that's all I heard about it. It's like girls, it's like a girls' night out kind of thing, you know. But I think it's a little bit more than that. It's really something that's a huge part of the Spanish culture. So a lot of times it's quite common for people to go out for tapas, and all it is these small plates of dishes, you know, bread and cottage cheese as an example of something that can be tapas. They really turn anything into tapas. I'm assuming they use some kind of meats with breads. These like, think of it like kind of small appetizers, and they're served, you know, throughout the course of an evening, and alongside drinks as well. So that's what I did throughout the tour, and I highly recommend doing a tapas tour if you ever go to Barcelona. I met a really good guy named Edu. Shout out to Edu. Hola, señor. Hola, mi amigo. Fantastic guy, and hopefully he'll tune into this at some point. And he really gives you kind of a great, he and the tour group themselves, for 20 euros or so, they give you a history of how tapas came into the Spanish culture, you know, why it's significant, and how it plays into the modern culture of Spain, and why it's still a part of the culture today. And it's a lot of fun. You know, I got to learn about different traditions they have there with that are part of tapas, such as porron, which is like this big jug that you drink out of. And one of the funniest things that happened is we were going around and drinking sangria out of this jug. You know, I guess this is a tradition for the Spanish. Like, oh, it's been a long day at work. Time to get the porron. You know, just like chug it down. Similar to our keg stands. Not that people do keg stands after work. Oh, long day at the office. You know, no, but similar to our kegs or you know, chugging a beer or something. Maybe it's our equivalent of a six-pack. The Europeans have much cooler things like the Dashboot, the German Dashboot. And then they have this porron, right? So this porron is like this jug, this wine jug, and you drink sangria out of it. And we had a group of about 6, you know, I'd say about 4 younger people. One girl is from Romania, a very nice Romanian girl. Almost got her number, but it's okay, no problem. A Romanian girl. We had an Argentinian, very nice Argentinian from Buenos Aires. Very beautiful, muy bien, muy bien. And local from the south of Spain, this surfer dude, Edu, who's chill and wanted to show us the life of the Spanish people, bro. And he was like a Spanish, you know, surfer, bro. Very interesting. Didn't know they exist, but you know, learn something every day. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anyone. And there was this photographer who, as well, was joining us, a Spanish guy, this millennial, and then I would say the MVP, most valuable player of the night, was this high school teacher. So it was like these young folks and this high school teacher, this badass, who just trucked through the tour with us, you know, was goofing around, was taking, you know, chugs with us, and we get around to the pro, and I was like, okay, he's probably just going to, like, you know, observe and learn from what the others are doing. Maybe he's, like, past his prime of when he was into these kinds of experiences. And you know, we're taking the Perona around, you know, we're passing this jug around. I do my turn, you know, and everyone's kind of doing their thing, and it gets to this guy, and he goes, oh, no. And we're like, okay, yeah, let's pass it to the next person, whatever, you know. And we get to him, and he goes, no, senor, you know, senor, my friend, yeah, sir, give it to me. All right, yeah, you know, maybe he's gonna observe it, take a picture of it, send it to the kids. No, this guy goes right at it, chugs it like a frat star, and the crowd went wild. It was fun. So that was a tapas tour, and it was a lovely way to experience the culture, and kind of get a glimpse of how tapas is a part of it. Next was, you know, the nightlife is fantastic. Plaza de la Rambla, La Rambla, I believe, is the name. And just go by the beach. Essentially, you just go by the beach, and you look up. If you look up bars by the beach in Barcelona, just give a Google search. You'll find there's like a port there with nice places to go out in the evening. But besides that, you know, they have jazz bars, they have clubs, they have really whatever you'd find in kind of in a major city. A variety of different, especially arts. There's a huge arts culture there. A lot of different types of experiences in regards to entertainment. Aside from that, I did a walking tour. Highly recommend doing a walking tour. We had this nice Irish girl who's escaping the rain of Ireland, coming to Spain for sunshine and brightness in life. Took her out for the darkness, into the light. Not sure what the accent was. Hope you liked it. If you didn't, well, it's America, you know, freedom of speech. No, and so Claire, a really nice lady, and walking tour is free. All they do is accept tips at the end, and it's very much worth your while if you like history, and they're willing to walk around. Otherwise, there's a bus tour, which I did that as well. I had a nice girl named Amanda who gave me her ticket since she was leaving town, and that is very much recommended since it's a way to get a true view of the city and learn about the history, about how the Olympics was integrated into the city in the 90s, and really just the hot spots where you can get off the bus, and there's another bus that can pick you up in 15 minutes because there's constantly tour buses throughout the city since there's so many tourists there. And it's really a fun way to see the city, and especially go up to the hills of the city where you can get a breathtaking view where you can see one of the most beautiful views probably in Spain. You see over the Valley of Barcelona, all the city from a mountainous point, and it's fantastic. And when I was there, a quick story, a little pit stop again, right? And I get there and I was like this. They're like, "Hola, señores and hola, chicas y chicos. This is the best stop for pictures. If you all want to take a picture, get off now. If not, your friends will never know if you had a good time." So we get off the bus, since they recommended it was a great spot to stop, and we take pictures and we see all these tourists hanging out. And I was on my own, doing my thing for a couple days in Barcelona, and I see this group of Japanese tourists, and I was quite excited by them. I'm not sure why. They're schoolgirls. Not that I was into them in a weird way or anything, but I was like, oh, like these cool schoolgirls. This is interesting, like a school trip. I guess I like kids. Maybe that was part of it. And they decided, and I was like, you know what? Let me help them out. Let's see if I can take a picture of them. I go, excuse me, sir, you want me a little picture? Yeah? You guys? Picture? And he goes, oh, yeah. So I get this group of like students, 20 female students, and take a picture. I take a picture of them. I was like, all right, see you guys later. They goes, no, you come back. You take a picture with us. And I was like, all right. If you insist, ladies, whatever you want to do. So I take a picture with them, and I will display it here. And it was definitely one of the memories of, the joke was the only people that would take pictures of me were Japanese tourists. The locals were afraid of me, since I'm a scary man. No, but yeah, it was just a really funny moment, just to get experience with people touring the city like myself, and just to see the international element to it. Otherwise, something to be wary of. Something to be wary of in Barcelona is the amount of PDA. Honestly, in the United States, we have Valentine's Day, right? Valentine's Day is a way to show your love, your affection. Maybe write a poem, roses, go to the park, kiss her a little bit, smooch her a little bit, maybe give her a little massage, etc. Without getting too detailed. In Barcelona, that's a Tuesday. That's a Tuesday. They wake up and they do that in the streets, work for 2 hours, and then make out for another 6 hours, and then maybe drink a little wine, see where the night takes them. I think it's a fascinating way of life. I'm not sure what they do all the time. There's so many people in the streets all the time. Do you have a job? I don't know. I'm not sure. Nobody knows. Feels like that lollipop commercial. The world may never know. Like one of those. But it is something to be wary of. If that's something that makes you uncomfortable, you probably shouldn't step in Barcelona or walk with a blindfold throughout the city. But yeah, PDA exists there. It's definitely a part of the culture, especially in Barcelona, where it's a very romantic city. So that's basically Barcelona. A lot of good times. Not everything is, stories I'm going to share with the audience. But, no, I didn't do anything too inappropriate. Mother, if you're watching, don't be nervous. I didn't do anything illegal. Okay? That's because everything's legal in Europe. Oh! No, but, yeah, I was a good boy for the most part. And, yeah, that was basically what happened in Europe. And now I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, I'm going to talk about Madrid and a few day trips that I did throughout. Don't go anywhere.
Presents the Roaming Gnome, denouncer of travel myths. Our first myth: all travel sites are the same.
No way. Only Travelocity guarantees the whole shebang. Your trip, your stay, and of course, your price.
Myth 2: things disappear in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, come on. You would have to be an absolute goof to believe.
Only Travelocity guarantees not just the price, but your entire travel experience. Travelocity, you'll never roam alone.
Alrighty, boys and girls, I am back. Still me, still Uri, with a nice little Hawaiian theme today. Look like a person who's about to go serve you drinks, a pina colada on the beach. Now, part 2, Madrid. So, Madrid and various day trips. So, as I finished the trip, Barcelona was by myself, and something, just a little side note on that. So, I highly recommend anyone just to go, even for 3-4 days, like what I did, by themselves to a city and explore it and meet people along the way. I think it's a very interesting learning experience. For me, when I was a little younger, a few years ago, when I first started doing these things, maybe I was like 21, I first started going to hostels. I'm a huge hostel goer. I've gone to hostels many, many times. And for me, every time, it's an interesting experience. You meet people who are interested and excited to meet different types of people and want to share stories, travel stories, life stories. Many times you meet a lot of very open-minded people, and it's a way to kind of learn about yourself and learn about how America plays into the picture of the world and how we influence others, or how maybe we can be inspired or influenced by other countries, since America doesn't have everything right, in my opinion. And there's definitely a lot to learn as Americans from traveling abroad, especially to Europe or to other countries, maybe South America, and there's some other tourists. And like I said, I stayed near Plaza de Catalonia, and what I'd recommend doing is, if you go to a new city, is to look up hostels that are kind of in a central area, like what I did, and to find hostels that have activities. Because for me, as a solo traveler that was there for 4 days, it was very nice that I found hostels that had activities going on. For example, I was there during the season of the Carnaval, which is a Christian holiday, where they have a couple days before they give up something for Lent, is what I understood. And they go crazy for 4 days before they have to sacrifice a part of their life. Maybe give up cheese or give up their wife. No, don't give up the wife. Keep her at home, folks. She'll never leave the home. No, keep her around. But nonetheless, it was a good way to, going to hostels, what I'm saying. It was a good way to kind of meet people. If they have activities, it's a good way to kind of be in a social environment, if that's something that interests you, that's very much encourages people to meet and hang out, etc. So that was that. So that was, the solo travel, which really, I wouldn't say it was life-changing, but it was great. It was a really fun way to kind of experience a city and have that freedom to really pave my experience. Now, moving forward, I took a train ride to Madrid, where one of my best friends, Adam Cordy, you folks have seen him at YouTube videos. You've seen him dancing in my videos, schmoozing. He's a schmoozer, big time, and doing a lot of fun things. And we met up in Madrid. He lives in an apartment in the center, more or less in the center of the city, and it was an adventure of a lifetime. And for me, that was also important to kind of have that freedom, but also an experience with a friend. I think there was a really great, healthy balance to do a little bit of both for me personally. And some of the highlights I'll share with Madrid is exactly like such. So, Madrid, it's a beautiful city with a lot of incredible history, and it's just very fancy. If you're interested in architecture, if you're interested in great photography, there's palaces, there's very elegant theaters. It just seems like a very high class, I would say, just from the aesthetic standpoint, it looks like a very high class modern European city with good music, food, a lot of ham, not for me. So my friends and I, he eats ham, he doesn't eat meat, I only eat kosher. So basically, we were stuck eating eggs for 2 weeks. No, not eggs, but we were quite limited in our options of food. But nonetheless, who came to the rescue? Kebab Man. Yeah, a lot of kebabs all over the city. There's just like how we have Starbucks, they have kebabs in every corner. You know what I mean? Like, they have a lot of kebabs. No shortage of that. And so the biggest difference between Barcelona and Madrid, the beautiful kind of contrast, in my opinion, was in Barcelona, you can easily get away with English wherever you go. In Spain, you need to either learn sign language, use charades, or you need to speak Spanish. And luckily, we had my friend, he's fluent in Spanish, which was fantastic to kind of see him in this environment where I've never seen him speak fluent Spanish necessarily. and he was kind of interacting at coffee shops, high-fiving girls, giving them kisses on the cheeks. Don't worry, he's normal. He's normal. And, just living like a local. It's fantastic. In America, you go up to a girl and give her a kiss on the cheek at a coffee shop, probably get a slap on the cheek. Maybe even someone's gonna write a blog about you, ruin your career. You know what I mean? Like these days, nobody knows how far that people will take it, but it's it's a little extreme in my opinion. America, let's love each other the European way, huh? Let's be spontaneous, and that is that. So Madrid, some fun things to do there. First of all, if you like arts, I recommend seeing a flamenco performance, either in a theater, in a fancy theater, or in a bar. I personally went to a bar since it's cheap and Jewish. I went to a bar because it's a fun place to go with friends and whatnot. And we went with shout out to Maria, Christina, Amit, Yosef, Aiden Mazul, aka Nature Boy, Adam, aka Captain Cordy, and yours truly, Uri. And I called it the All-Star Crew. It was probably one of the funnest nights. Madrid. It was one of the first nights that Aiden and Adam were together. The three of us were together. This trio, the three musketeers of the trip. And flamenco is just a very passionate type of music. It's fun. You don't need to necessarily know all the words to really enjoy it. It's guitars. It's singing. You see people dancing in the bars. It's even just like a nice cultural experience, even if you just do nothing and observe, like some National Geographic analyst or something. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know if analyst is the proper word. One of those like Nat Geo guys that's like, oh, interesting. You see the locals in the natural environment. Yes. Like one of those. That's kind of what it felt like for some of the Americans. Like, oh, wow. Didn't see that coming. But I jump right in the action. You guys know me. Folks who've seen my content know I like to dance and go a little bit of crazy. I'm a little wild. I will say that. I'm not going to lie. So again, quite a lot of history. I'd recommend doing a walking tour most likely. Luckily, we had our own personal tour, Adam, who showed us around. But the Opera is a metro stop that's very famous for a lot of fancy history, the Opera stop. Another stop is... What else is another stop? Seoul. That's what jumped to mind. Seoul. Absolutely recommend going to Seoul. That's in the heart of Spain. It's a great place for picture taking, selfies. You see some street performances sometimes. And one other thing is there's markets on Sundays. There's an outdoor market, so it's a fantastic place to go shopping for like bracelets, like something what I bought. Nice little fire bracelet. There's obviously much fancier types of jewelry and a lot of people selling jeans. I don't know why, but fantastic, It reminded me a lot of the Tel Aviv Shuk. I lived in Tel Aviv for a year, and they remind me a lot of that, the outdoor market, which is really fun and experience to just kind of walk around and really get a glimpse of the culture. And one other thing to notice in Spain, generally speaking, is don't be intimidated, but the fashion there is on a whole different level than the United States. The United States, you could walk around in sweatpants and a t-shirt, nobody will think twice of you. They're just thinking, oh, you're probably just like a lazy dad. No, they'll probably just think like, whatever, you're just doing your thing. You're at a grocery store with sweatpants and a t-shirt on a Sunday morning. No problem. Spanish, even if they're going outside to pick up some new toilet paper, they're going to put on their fanciest attire. They look like they're about to go perform in a Hollywood production. They have a top hat, scarf, fancy shirt, colored, beautiful jeans, elegant jeans. Like, what music video are you going to perform in right now? But honestly, they're just going to pick up some toilet paper. So just don't be intimidated by that. The guys there and girls have really incredible fashion. And anybody that's fascinated in fashion, I'm sure you'd really appreciate the culture there. I've been to France once, but I didn't really take notice so much as to fashion, as much as it's known as being one of the fashion hubs. There's obviously Milan and Paris, obviously Madrid, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of models from Madrid or Barcelona. The fashion there really is exceptional. So, any stories from Madrid that are podcast appropriate? Well, I will say this. I did spend a few days in Salamanca. Salamanca is a city outside of Madrid. It's an easy day trip to do. I would say, like a full 24-hour trip. Get a hostel there. It's also one of the oldest one of the oldest cities in Spain, I want to say. One of the oldest, with the oldest structures, and you really feel like you're like, you stepped in a time machine and you're like in this old, era. It's really just a very different environment, very different environment to be in this place. And same goes with Toledo. Toledo is also a fun place to go for a day trip if you're in Madrid. Again, it's only an hour or so bus ride. That one is a little closer. It's about 45 minutes, so it's easier to do a day trip and come back in the evening. But that one has an interesting, fascinating cathedral and a Jewish quarter, since a lot of the Jews, before the Christians expelled them, they're like, "Yep, we don't like you guys. Get out of here." They had their own quarter in the city of Toledo specifically. A lot of the Jews lived in Barcelona and Toledo, and those are the major cities where you can find the historical references to Jews. But in Toledo specifically, there was a Jewish quarter, that's still mapped for people doing tours there. And it was very interesting to go there. For myself, I'm Jewish, and I went there trying to learn a little bit more about the Jewish history in Toledo. That was one of the reasons I went there. And when you get there, you get to this Jewish quarter, and you're very excited. You're like, okay, wow, finally. Churches, crosses, Jesus, Mary, and Jewish. Finally, hello. And you get to this the Jewish quarter. I was quite excited. We walk into the synagogue. I was like, cool. Like maybe there's like a rabbi working here. Maybe we, say a few prayers. We get there. Who's working there? None other than a nun. Oy vey's mir. What? Nothing against nuns. I'm very open-minded. I'm totally chill with Jews, Muslims, Christians, and that's it. No. Buddhists are fine. Hindus, no. But I'm very, very open-minded, and yeah, dude, I was chilling there, and I see this nun. She goes, "Hello, welcome." I said, "Shalom," just to to gauge her, just to try to bagel her a little bit, to be like, oh, maybe she's Jewish or something, secretly deep down or something. Who knows? And she's like, "Oh, you guys are Jewish. Blessed to meet you. Blessed to meet you. What am I, Heshu? What am I? Jesus coming back from what am I, Moses? What am I, Moses?" I'm just a standard Jew, but for some people, they've never met Jewish people, or they very rarely meet Jewish people, especially in Spain. It's a very Christian-dominant culture, so they were quite excited. And she told me how she was going to be celebrating Purim this year. It's the holiday of dressing up and carnivals and so forth. And it was just fascinating to see this nun there, and this synagogue looked like it just went through a Hurricane Sandy. There was the wallpaper was ripped, and it was completely the opposite. It was like you go to this cathedral, it's like this glamorized, like and then you go to the synagogue, and it looked like a hurricane just took over this synagogue, and it really shows you how much they care for the Jews, in that city. No, and that was just the smaller synagogue, and then there was a larger synagogue which was turned into a museum, which was much nicer. But it was kind of funny to see the smaller synagogue that was run by a nun that had, a painting that looked like it was done by a 4-year-old of Israel, and that was it. That was the museum. Don't recommend going there. Go to the big synagogue, and I don't remember the name of the synagogue. There's only 2 of them. It'll be hard to miss it. And go to the larger synagogue. Essentially, you'll see in the Jewish quarter, and there it's worthwhile to spend money to really learn about the history and see the really cool artifacts that are very, very old. Like 1400s, which is pretty badass. Very old school. And that's that. So what are a few things I learned in Spain? People have seen me. I've learned the Spanish culture. One thing I've learned is I love languages. So I've been inspired to maybe learn a little bit of Spanish when the time is right. I realized I love dancing. I'm going to continue to maybe take salsa classes or just dance. The Spanish culture are huge dancers. All the time dancing. Tuesday morning, after coffee, they're dancing. They don't need a specific time and place and calendar appointment. They're gonna dance. Not sure if I said that, but besides that, it made me appreciate living life. It made me appreciate where I am in my life, and kind of to be, to not always think about work and not always think about the stresses of life, but to really learn to take a step back and just to appreciate good friends and good company. And despite not always having things in place and not always having everything figured out, it's good to just enjoy life and not overthink things. The European way, I think, is very much about let's life first, and then the work will come second. I think in the United States is a high pressure on always thinking about work, and then you can find time for pleasure. But there's definitely some kind of nice harmony that you could find where you should definitely find time for pleasure. I think there's something very refreshing and rejuvenating and healthy. Just to not always think about work and to really just kind of enjoy the European way. I say that jokingly, but it's very true. They very much know how to live life and enjoy themselves, and that's something that I very much value, and I will obviously integrate into my life moving forward, and will continue doing so. So, viva la España, and thank you all for tuning in to a U-Man podcast. That was my tips and stories on my adventure in España. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and hope you have a lovely day.